Hello, everybody. My name is Joel Filderman, and welcome to the Dog Trainers Connection. I'm not a dog trainer, but the people you see here are, and we get together to discuss a topic relating to dog training or the dog world, come up with some thoughts, some ideas, and sometimes some answers. So today's topic, what I was thinking was, whoop. Helen. We're okay. So Helen just joined us.
Recording?
Oh yes, we're recording. And that's okay. So actually, it's fine because I wanted to keep it a little light and free this time. You know, we're approaching the end of the year. We're approaching the holidays. We've been doing this for almost a year. We've been discussing a lot of different topics. Boy, I'm doing good too. Topics from spay and neutering to whether trainers should have licenses, whether they should give veterinary advice. We've discussed a lot of different topics. So I'd like to do this kind of freestyle and say, if anybody wants to discuss any further about any topics that we've discussed this year, please feel free. But the other thing that I'd like to discuss is it's towards the end of the year, and I'd like to hear your I guess it's your Christmas wish as a dog trainer. What would you like to see happen in the new year in dog training or in the dog world? And I'll leave that right out there, and whoever would like to start can start.
I'm going to start.
Okay.
We used to be Dog Trainers Connection, and then our tagline, and I may have mentioned this before, was Uniting Trainers of All Beliefs. So my wish is that we can keep our differences in how we train and the tools that we use, but the hatred and the vitriol and the bad-mouthing and just passion that we have about dogs doesn't get funneled into negativity about other dog trainers and what they do, because I think we're in this because we love dogs and probably love a lot of other animals too. And we really need to be mindful of that, and for 2019. And that's my wish as a dog trainer and as a dog lover.
Sounds like a good one to me. Jeff, what about you?
Well, I guess from the dog training perspective, I agree a gazillion % with Bonnie. And you know, in fact, not too long ago, I made a social media post, and this, you know, sometimes what I do, I kind of feel, and not just me, I mean, obviously I have other dog trainers that do some of the things that I do that other trainers don't, that's part of, you know, their program or any kind of behavior modification protocol, you know, with the use of massage and Reiki, essential oils, you know, some of the holistic stuff that,
sure,
you know, you don't always read in a dog training book, but it works. You know, so I made a social media post not too long ago, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember what exactly happened, but it goes something to the effect of, the traditional trainer criticized me for using too many treats. The force-free trainer criticized me for using a walking tool. The balanced trainer scoffed at my use of massage and behavior modification. Right, so that was kind of the crux of my post. And obviously, you know, people interpret it how they want, and, you know, you got all sorts of comments. But the bottom line is, you know, I do a lot of different things, and it doesn't always align with what other trainers do. And it's, you know, Reiki, I mean, I get it. I understand that's voodoo to some people. And, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I'm just the luckiest friggin' dog trainer in the world, right? Okay, it is possible. And I'm not a lucky person, but it's possible that Reiki has worked on hundreds of dogs. Could be luck. The point being is that obviously animal abuse aside, because sadly, there are still trainers out there that are doing things to not just dogs, but other animals in the training arena, that granted in their eyes they may work, but there are other ways to get to their final destination. So if things like that are going on, all of us should speak up about that, regardless of where on the spectrum we fall. So I think that we all have that in common. So, I think we all need to open up our minds a little bit, and
For sure.
I mean, I don't know. That's all I have to say about dog training. As far as my Christmas wish or holiday wish, to be politically correct, which is fine. So I wish, especially with the winter coming, okay, take your goddamn dogs inside. That's my wish. From a dog owner's perspective, my wish for you is to exercise, train, and socialize your dog. That's all I have to say.
That's a lot. Helen?
Oh boy. I only get one wish.
No. Jeff had 15.
It was a light day.
He was counting.
I guess, well, you know what? I could probably narrow it down to two. One would be, I wish everybody who gets a puppy would start early with socialization and classes, and not sequester the animal until they've had all their shots. Because I think it's just one of the worst things they can do, for the puppies. I mean, that's the critical socialization period. And after that, it gets a lot tougher to socialize. So socialization is so important. That would be my number one wish, that people get puppies and start right away. Get them out, meet people, as many people as possible, different situations, scenarios, other dogs. My second wish would be that folks would follow through when they call up for, typically it's with more problem behaviors. And I do try to manage expectations. I do try to explain there's not, snap my fingers and it's fixed, and that it takes time or commitment, depending on how long the dog has been engaging in a particular behavior. And everyone's always rah, rah, gun ho. Yes, I get it. I know. And it doesn't matter how much you explain it. Once you put the reality in it, you give them assignments and you give them, all right, this is what I need you to do. Then it's like, oh, I don't have time for this. I would like for people to maybe make the time, be as rah-rah about actually doing it as they were when we spoke about it. So those would be my two wishes.
I like those a lot. David?
Yeah, I mean, I concur with what everybody is saying so far. I mean, I think my wish would be too is the socialization, and I'm not really a big fan, just from what I've experienced, what I've heard, and so forth, in terms of socializing at a dog park. I mean, there's just, if it was in a perfect world, it would be well run, where someone's reading body language and so forth. They understand that. They know when to be paying attention, when to break up the dogs, when something's not going quite right. And then they have a problem on their hands that sometimes now the dog's always going to be fearful, and then you have to just work on that. And it's something that may never get 100%, and it's only, managed. So if it's a well-run puppy class, or kind of like what Helen, I think, was alluding to, is just one-on-one, dogs meeting with, your neighbors or your friends that, have, nice dogs, things like that. That would be the way to go. And I feel that in terms of, look what Helen was saying, getting people on board with following through and so forth, that's easier said than done. And I think part of it, maybe it's on us to a certain extent, educating them. I think they're into it, but I don't think they realize sometimes what's involved in getting a dog to a certain level. They just feel it's just in a lesson or two we should knock it out, and the dog's gonna be, should be doing what we want it to do. It doesn't always quite work that way, or part of it's on us. And what I sometimes tell people, and this is not obviously accurate, but it's something to this effect: a third of it's on me, a third of it's on the client, the owner of the dog, and the other third is on the dog. So it's all got to be a balance and a team effort to get the dog where we want it to be. So
I like that.
That's kind of the way I look at it to a certain degree. And just my wish would be just that we as dog trainers can maybe just educate the public a little bit on what's realistic and what's not so realistic expectations. Especially when it comes to, which I'm a novice at, but in terms of aggression, what I do know is that there's no, so to speak, cure. We wish we could have a magic bullet, whether it be with behavior modification and or a holistic approach and or pharmaceuticals. You can put all those combined, there's still no cure. But what I explain to my clients is that you can get the dog potentially sometimes to where it appears there's a cure, because the dog's not exhibiting those behaviors, but it doesn't mean that it can't rear its ugly head if it's put in the right situation or right environment. So it's, when we're talking just basic sit, stay down, calm, all the basics, that's the expectations. It's pretty just that basic, and I think you don't have to do too much to manage the situation. But when there's a behavioral issue that's kind of, whether it's aggression or something where, something along those lines, where there's a change has to come, where the dog is just barking and barking and barking, and it's that's something that where it takes time and so forth. That's where I think you have to try to convey that to the client, that what's realistic, what's not so realistic, and what you can get, and give them different options to kind of pick from. That it's not cookie cutter. Dogs all learn different ways, obviously. Yeah. So what works for one dog's not going to work for another dog, and the same thing with people. So I don't know if that's a bunch of wishes, I guess. I don't know, for Christmas, the New Year.
Joyce, what about you?
I'm unmute myself there.
Yep.
Yeah, as usual, I agree with everything everybody said. We got a great group here that does so much for dogs in the dog training field. So I'm proud to be a part of this group. I think for me, having been where I've been and now where I am, I wish, one of my wishes is that more trainers would kind of do what I've done, which is don't ever set in that everything forever. An education is out there, and it's constantly available. More information about dogs, more information about training techniques. Don't stop learning. Don't stop changing for the better of the dogs. I used to be a force trainer, and I have modified my techniques over and over and over again as I've learned more about dogs, and I became a positive reinforcement trainer. Well, now I consider myself a science-based choice trainer, and that's fairly new for me, but I'm having better results than I've ever had before. The dogs are happier, the clients are happier, and whatever the next step is, I'll take that step. I'll just keep going out there and learning. By the way, most of my techniques are learned from other trainers. So there's a lot of brilliant trainers out there. We just need to listen to each other and pick and choose what works for us and what's best for the dogs. And I think anytime we can throw away an old technique that was either not beneficial or somehow harmful or painful or scary or, holds the dog back or any of those things, anytime we see anything negative and we can replace it with something that's more positive and we see a better result out of, then we need to do that. We need to let go of the old stuff and bring in the new as is. It's available. And I wish more trainers would do that. Around here, I see so many trainers just saying, well, this is how I do it. And it makes me sad because I know how much more is out there. and it's available. You just have to take the time and learn it. Anyway, so in 2019, my hope is for more choice, brain work, and reward. And I hope more trainers start looking that up and picking up on that. And getting their continuing education from other amazing trainers out there. Also, I guess another big one is I do a lot with my dogs and rescue dogs. And I have found the best way to help a dog calm down and find their confidence is take them hiking. I want to see more people out on the trails. It was really frustrating when I get out there on a beautiful Sunday morning. It's 70 degrees, light breeze, sun is out, and I might see one other person out there walking their dogs.
Wow.
So, and this is the mountains of Georgia. Let's get our dogs, let's get them out and do things with them. Take them to Home Depot if it's appropriate. Just take them on a ride. Take them, for a walk through a park. Around your neighborhood is fine, but it gets boring after a while. Take them places where they get to forage, sniff, and find environmental enrichment. So I really hope for that in 2019, that people engage more with their dogs in an appropriate doggy manner and for more learning on the training side.
And Joyce, I just want to chime in here that when you were talking about the other trainers and trainers needing to open their minds to other, would you be able to give a session for them and have them come? They don't have to commit to anything, or just to hear you talk and know what you do. They've got to be somewhat interested. Because like when we had an e-collar trainer come way back, and the room was full of clicker trainers because they wanted to learn about it. So maybe that's just a suggestion, because I know you're a good teacher. And I've seen you present, so.
Yeah, I think that's more of a passion in my direction. I like to teach other people how to do this. And I'm working with a pit bull group right now to try to help them understand more about choice. And it's exciting to see people pick it up and run with it. And then they respond back and go, wow, this is working. And I'm like, yeah, now go forth, teach it, keep teaching it, talk to more people and keep passing it forward. Because that's how force training took off.
Yeah.
Juan said it, and all of a sudden everybody started doing it and passing it forward, and other trainers way back when. So we need to just keep telling, giving people the information. I don't want to charge for it. I have these great games I've learned, these great techniques, and they're working for me. So if people want to take the time to pick up on that and take it and modify it for yourself so it works better, so it's more comfortable for you. But they're really, I learned them from other trainers. So I didn't just make this stuff up. I'm not brilliant or anything. I'm just interested. And so and then I just want everybody else to learn it. So I'm not creating some big program you have to pay for. I just want people to take the information and pass it forward and use it on your own dogs and see how great it works. But absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. And Steve, I know that you're not feeling well and you don't have much of a voice, but I know you, and I know you have something to say about this. So what do you got to say, Steve?
I got a couple of wishes. I wish that people could afford good veterinary medicine for their dogs. We're trying to get dogs into homes. Like this, as they say, there's a home for every dog. But a lot of times people with big hearts and who are willing to do the right thing to take care of a dog or a cat don't realize what it's going to cost them just in routine veterinary care. If something goes wrong, what do you do if you don't? And a lot of people aren't rich, and it's becoming like really prohibitive to be able to go to the animal hospital and do the right thing for your pets. So I'm not quite sure who would handle that. I feel like it's got to be like an AVMA thing or something. It's not like they have Medicare for dogs, but maybe they need that. Some way for people to be able to afford good veterinary care. You're not going to get the animals out of the shelters if everybody's concerned about, I can't afford to have a pet. I'm a little stunned also. You could still go to the supermarket, I guess, and you can get some sort of kibble off the shelf that's kind of affordable, but people like us usually are looking for better nutrition, higher quality.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that comes in at like a gigantic price with a price tag. That's pretty.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got a couple of big dogs. I mean, I try to feed them real well, but I find, you know, what am I going to do now? It's like I'm going to spend all this money over here, but then I don't have it for this that I might need. It makes it difficult to be a pet owner with the costs being what they are. So one wish is some sort of system for people to be able to get good veterinary care and not have to worry about paying their rent or not eating themselves because they have a pet that needs help.
Mm-hmm.
Something needs to be done with that, and that would be one of my wishes. The other one would be directed to the AKC. I think the AKC needs to like calm down a little bit and stop popularizing breeds of dogs that don't make good pets, because that's what we run into a lot. You know, I mean, we understand if you get a breed of dog that may be as defensive in its nature, it's fine if you know how to handle a dog like that. But we know also that our clients aren't usually very good handlers, but they become sort of really overwhelmed with, wow, what a great looking dog is that? Or, you know, and the AKC has every responsibility to either stop indoctrinating breeds that just don't make good pets in this country. I mean, what are we going to do with a mountain dog around here? I mean, I guess if you live in the hills of Georgia and you got some livestock, great. You could put a Pyrenees or a Maremma out there and not have to worry about it. But in my neighborhood, it's a problem for people to have dogs that are gigantic, not easy to control, independent types. There's nothing wrong with the dogs. It's just that if you're going to popularize a breed, maybe it should be a good pet. You know, maybe it's not a good idea to have terriers spar with one another. When, you know, if to watch that in a conformation ring, it's like, okay, let's face them to one another, and the dogs that don't show tenacity are removed. That's not good. Our clients want to take their dog to the park, and they get a wire hair fox terrier and they take it there and the thing is chomping down on everybody else. I mean, why? Because the breeders are being urged to allow tenacity to be in their breed. They want that. It's part of their breed standard. Well, that's fine if you're looking to kill rats, but if you live in Manhattan in an apartment, it's not so great. You know, so I think the AKC is like, who's got the power? It's like these big organizations with all the dough. So you got the AKC, you got the AVMA, right? You got to look at who's got the money and the power. Otherwise, it's hard for people like us to change things. We could have fantastic and do have amazing ideas, but to try to make big change usually, unfortunately, requires like the big club that has money and their perspective and input into all of these things. And I don't know that we really affect them, but it all in the end affects the animals and how well we can or cannot take care of them. And my last wish for 2019 is partial procedures on sterilization, so that animals may be allowed to keep their hormones on some level and still not be reproducible. So if you're worried about numbers, we can get them sterilized without robbing them of every hormone that they need to be balanced. So those are my few, and that's about all I think I have left over here. But I want to also say I love being with all you guys every month. It's a pleasure for me.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody, and may all your holiday wishes come true. We started this a little over a year ago to get some information out there, and we continue to do that. And it's a privilege to be a part of this group and to be able to discuss these things. So I'd like to thank you all for being here, and like to wish everybody a happy holiday and all the best in the new year. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching and wish the same for all of you as well. And we'll see you in the new year with some new topics, some new thoughts, and maybe some new answers. So,
is it complicated?
It's always complicated. So.
Can't leave without saying that.
So thanks again, folks. We'll see you in the new year. Bye-bye now.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.